To another session in Boundless. My name is Jacqi, and we'll be doing the session on the floor today. So if you need a pillow or some kind of bolster or blanket to make your knees comfortable when we stretch out, please get them now, and then start the tape when you're ready. Today we're going to focus on exploring the shoulders and a little bit of the upper body. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and lay down onto your back and stretch yourself out. Yeah, so first just get yourself comfortable. And first we always start with a little scanning of the body. For a longer scanning session, there is a posted video from the first Boundless that you'll find on this site. So when you have time, it's really beneficial to do a 30-minute scanning and connecting with the body that you'll find on that video, and then continue with another 30 minutes. But if you only have time for this, then we'll do just a mini connecting in. So first, tune into your breath without trying to change it or judge. Just notice the sensation of the inhale, and how do you experience the sensation of the exhale differently. They both are important, but have a very different sensation. So continue to notice your breath. And then we tune in to the sensation of the body that it is laying on the floor or a firm surface. And that floor gives us feedback. So I notice I can feel the left side and the right side of my body. And then I look to see if there are differences without trying to correct them or change them. But just notice, today I have this that I'm carrying in my body, some tension or an old injury or just an old stress. And that stress may cause the body to lift a little higher off the ground or settle a little more. And so notice for example, we'll start with the heels. And do your heels rest the same against the floor? Or do you notice that one foot turns out a little more than the other? Or if they're the same. That gives information then when we flow with our mind further up the leg to the calves, that I notice whatever change there was with one foot, it seems to be reflected further up the leg. And then I continue moving the mind further up the back of the thighs into the hips. And just see what you notice. Differences, similarities, pressure of settling into one side or the other. And then move your mind further up into your back and notice, is there space between your lower back and the floor? Or does it feel relatively flat? At any time when we're doing scanning or other moments of stretching the legs out and it is very uncomfortable for your back, you can always keep the knees bent. For now, we'll continue with the scanning, but if you need to bring your feet to the floor so that the lower back flattens out, do that at any time. But then we notice, can we feel the ribs of our back? And how are they in contact with the floor? And I move further up to notice my shoulder blades, the tips of the shoulder blades, and the flat bone part of the shoulder blades. Do they both make contact evenly with the floor, or does it feel like one bone rolls a little bit away from the floor? Or do they both roll a little away from the floor? And then I notice my neck. Is the neck touching at all points against the floor? Or is there also a little space that if I were to put my hand under the neck, that my hand would slide fairly easily? And allow another easy breath. And so when we begin to start exploring movement, we explore it to the best that we're able to, in a gentle way, in a way that is curious about what parts work together and what seems to be an isolated muscle. What is the range without effort? And how does it connect with other parts of the body? So let's slowly begin to slide our feet along towards our buttocks so that the knees bend. And we have our feet standing on the floor. And notice that that just makes a little change in the pelvis to help flatten your back. So let's begin. It's always a nice way to begin to first just loosen the spine gently. And that is engaging both the flexors that are in the front of the body and the extensors that are in the back. So that's accomplished by rolling the pelvis. So explore the feeling that you can tip your pelvis away from your belly button and towards the floor. And then reverse that so that it gently settles flat against the floor, and then the tailbone can tip upward towards the ceiling a little bit. And we always start very gently, and I encourage you to start small so that as the body begins to become a little more limber, it will give you information that you can do a little bit more. But if we start at 100%, sometimes the back will complain. So we always want to make sure that the body's never complaining. It's always like, go, wow, that's great with however you're doing it. Yeah? But we don't want to encourage pushing or forcing. So gently, comfortably, like a wave, rolling, pelvis tilting, and rolling up and down. The back waving, rising, and sinking in unison or in relationship to the movement of the pelvis. And as we do one more, notice the belly lengthening when the tailbone drops, and then sinking when the tailbone returns back and the pelvis becomes flat against the floor. Now rest there a moment and allow for an easy, comfortable, satisfying breath. So let's begin to explore the shoulders. The shoulders make up of 3 different bones, our collarbones, the shoulder blades, and then the length of our upper arm called the humerus. So to first get a sense of the raising and lowering of our shoulder blades, let's first place our palms together, like in the prayer palm, fingers touching, and then send the palms together upward in front of you towards the ceiling until your arms can lengthen. So without locking the arms, but having them straight, we can sense the relationship of our shoulders a little bit differently than when our arms are beside the body. Shorter in the front. You may feel the shoulder blades have separated in your back. And of course, the arms have changed. So now, just slowly, keeping your fingers together and the palms together, lower them back down towards your body. So the elbows are bending, there's a change in the shoulder socket as your hands come slowly back towards the body but stay together. So we're going to raise and lower our hands towards the ceiling smoothly until the arms lengthen, and then lower them back down towards the body, keeping the fingertips pointing towards the ceiling. So follow the mechanism of change in the shoulder socket as the elbows lengthen, and as they finish lengthening of the arms, the change in the shoulder blades. And then as we descend down, feel the change, a smooth movement in the shoulder socket. And one more time. And let your breath just be comfortable and easy. We're not needing to coordinate it at this time. And slowly lower back down. Separate the hands and let your arms and hands rest again beside your body. And allow for an easy breath. So now, I want you to, with your right arm, keep your elbow on the floor, but raise your forearms so that the fingertips face the ceiling. So it's just straight, but your elbow's on the floor. Yeah. And with the arm bent like this, now raise your elbow. And just let your forearm and your hand just drop wherever it's comfortable. So we're rotating the upper arm so that now the tip of your elbow faces the ceiling. And just let it hang there, free of tension in the fingertips, free of tension in the wrist. And notice the change that's happened now to sustain your elbow in this position. What's happened with the shoulder blade, and the change along underneath the armpit in the muscles all around the upper back. Yeah. So now allow for the feeling of your shoulder blade to just keep dropping and settling towards the floor, if it's possible. Notice, is there any holding that now we can let it go? And just, you don't have to keep the elbow rigid. Just let the shoulder drop, but it's bent. Now, all I want you to try to do is pretend that you have a pencil on the tip of your elbow, and you're just going to draw a circle on the ceiling. And you can make that circle as big as you like. We'll gradually make it a little smaller and smaller. But now just explore a comfortable circle while, if possible, allowing the shoulder blade to just be heavy and settled onto the floor. And then reverse. And just notice as you're making the circle the changes that are happening up in your shoulder socket. But we want the bones to just feel heavy, like they can settle back down into that socket near the shoulder blade. Now make a very tiny, tiny, refined mini circle, almost imperceptible, with your drawing the circle on the ceiling with your pencil, very tiny, but allow that shoulder to keep dropping, letting go. Notice any changes that are happening in your waist, your shoulder, your neck, your back, and reverse that tiny, tiny, like if I were to be watching you, I would hardly be able to see you making the circle, like the circumference of a nickel. Okay, so let that rest and slowly keep the elbow bent, but lower your arm towards the floor until you naturally feel your forearm and hand discovering a way to open and to come rest on the floor. And take a deep breath. And stretch your legs out. Now let's compare. Has anything changed from the last time that we were stretched out? Compare left side and right side. And in particular now, do we notice, did a change happen in your right shoulder in comparison to the left? Does it feel slightly different, or is there a large difference, or you're not sure? All is okay. Just the intent to look and sense for differences is important. Okay, so slowly bring your feet back to the mat and let the feet settle. Let it reset your pelvis. And allow an easy breath. So let's duplicate that idea with the left side, the left shoulder. So keeping your elbow on the floor, first bend your elbow so that your forearm is vertical towards the ceiling. The fingers are facing the ceiling gently. Then keeping the elbow bent, just raise the tip of your elbow towards the ceiling and feel a change gliding in your shoulder socket until now the elbow is relatively vertical and facing the ceiling. And just allow the feeling of the forearm and your fingers to feel heavy and your shoulder to be able to settle back into the floor, the shoulder blade. And the weight of the upper arm, just allow it to feel heavy towards the floor. And then begin again to just find how to draw a circle with that tip of your elbow. And make it a comfortable circle so that we're not creating any strain in any of the tissue or the muscle or the tendons and ligaments. But the slower that you can explore this circle, the more you'll be able to alter its course in order to avoid any discomfort. So look for smooth and easy and gentle. And then reverse. And it may feel like a little wonky circle. Notice if this elbow behaves differently than the other one, like I have less control over a smooth circle. It's a little jumpy than I did on the other side. So I just think, interesting. Yeah, don't judge it. Just say, well, it's different. And then slowly begin to make your circle smaller. And notice if we have any holding. Is our shoulder blade trying to come up to assist? So just keep allowing that shoulder blade to fall back into the floor as you make your elbow circle smaller and smaller until you start making the circle about the size of a nickel. And as you're doing that, check in to see if your right arm and wrist or hand in any way is tensed up trying to help you. Yeah? Let that go. And breathe. Then make a tiny circle in the opposite direction, as comfortably and gently and easy and lazily as possible. Then let that relax, settle. Let the whole weight of the arms settle through your shoulder blade, allowing the shoulder blade to settle into the floor. And your elbow can then just, it doesn't have to stay stiff towards the ceiling. Just let that settle. And then slowly begin to find a gentle pathway to release your arm to the floor. And that may mean completely different on how you did the other side, but just so that it's not creating discomfort as it descends to the floor. Allow an easy breath, nice, full. Notice now the difference between the left and the right. Do they feel more even? Are there still differences? And take a moment to stretch your legs out. And again, just scan the body to notice changes through the feet, the legs, your waist, your back, the shoulder blades towards the floor, and your neck. While we stay in this position, very softly turn your head left and right. Just bringing a little gentle movement for your neck. Gentle and small. Bring your head back to center. Slowly bring both feet again to the mat. Okay. So now, bring your palms together again. And the same as when we started, just slowly begin to float your palms and fingers together up towards the ceiling as the arm lengthens. And follow the change that happens along your shoulder blades, the shoulder socket, the front of the chest. Gently reaching. And slowly lower them together back towards your body, keeping the palms and the fingers together as they come towards your body. And float them again gently up. Reaching gently. And then slowly lowering them back down. Then lowering the arms. Having felt when we raise the fingers up, the shoulder blades leave the floor, and then allow them to settle back down. Now, with your right hand, just gently begin to reach towards the back of your head, and let your hand cradle the back of your head, and let your elbow for the moment just position to where it would like to be. If the arm can fall outward, that's great. And if it's floating halfway, that's also fine, but no strain. So now, let your arm come and hug as close to your head as possible without strain. And then let it open back out gently, like a butterfly wing of opening and then slowly letting it close towards your head. And maybe breathe in as the butterfly wing opens. And exhale as the butterfly wing closes. Now, once the butterfly wing is closed and your arm is as close to your head as possible, just allow your head to turn, but your arm stays a little glued to the head. So the turn won't be very big. Just a slight turn to the left. And your arm is stuck to the head. So they both, arm and head, turn a little bit to your left. Notice the change in the armpit, the shoulder blade. And one more time, arm and head is gently glued and stuck together, and gently turn to the left. Slowly bring everything back to center. Let your butterfly wing of the arm open out, and slowly remove your hand from behind your head and let that rest now beside your body. And again, compare both sides, left shoulder, right shoulder. Take a deep breath. Now with the left arm, slowly find your way of bringing your hand behind your head with minimal effort. And once your hand is cradling behind your head, we explore again, allowing the elbow to open away from the head towards the floor without force. And then it folds and closes towards the side of your head. So very gently, like again, a butterfly who's, just emerged from the cocoon and is drying her wings. Just allow a gentle flapping close towards the head and soft and gently away from the head without trying a goal of reaching, but just what is comfortable. Then once the elbow comes close to the head, feel as if it is glued or stuck to your head, and then gently turn the arm and the head a little to your right. Again, you won't be able to go very far, so we're not going to strain, and then bring it back to center. Settle. And then the arm and the head turn in unison as one piece slightly to the right. And back to center. And settle. And one more time, glued and stuck gently to the right. Come back to center. And then as you breathe in, allow the butterfly wing of your arm just to gently float down towards the floor. And gently back towards your head. And then just slide the hand gently out from under your head and just find a gentle way to glide your arm back down to the floor. And allow for an easy breath, a full, comfortable breath, and compare and notice. How do the shoulders feel at this moment? How are they different from when we began? And slowly stretch your legs out. Allow for an easy breath. And gently turn your head left and right. Soft, slow, smooth, and gently. Bring your head to center. And so if you'd like to continue to rest here, and that is possible, please feel free to do so. In a moment, I'm going to be rising in order to say goodbye. And so if you want to join me in that, slowly bring your feet to the mat. And if you'd like for a moment just to bring your knees to your chest, just to open the lower back, but still allow, as you're holding on to the knees, to let your shoulders settle heavily towards the floor. And ease in your neck. And then slowly bring both feet to the mat and gently turn over onto your side to rest a moment. And then, if you would like, slowly begin to make your way upright, comfortably in a seated position. And then later, after I've finished, when you're ready to stand up, please take your time in getting up slowly. And once you've stood, maybe pause for a moment before you start moving around and getting back with your day to see if you notice any changes or anything different with how your shoulders are settled onto the body now. Okay? Thank you so much for being with me today, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.